What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS preview show for Monday's main slate. We covered over on DraftKings. I'm Howard Bender. James Grande with me. And I can't even remember the last time you and I did a show together. So on one hand, I'm super excited about that. On the other hand, I'm super excited about this slate. So first and foremost, man, how are you?
Doing well. We did a show and I believe it was a Sunday night as well, and we were finished putting the bow on basketball, and I was just diving back into baseball, and now it's been full bore baseball. So I've fully caught up to Pablo Lopez being the best pitcher in baseball again, and then yeah, that's where we are here on this Sunday evening, heading into another wonderful week of baseball.
Another wonderful week of baseball. Pablo Lopez and Hunter Brown, two guys who have been destroying my ratios for the first month and a half of the season, and then finally turned things around. Neither one of them on this slate, though, so don't have to worry about that. So yeah, listen, let's kind of get started here. And for those of you out there, we appreciate you tuning in over here. Hit that like button, the subscribe button if you haven't already. It's just a nice, both buttons are a nice free way to just show that you support the work that we do over here at Fantasy Alarm. So, James, little slate here on not a little slate, but it's a 9-game slate here for Monday night. I'm super pumped about it. Starting off at the top end here for pitching, Tanner Houck going up against Toronto. He and Chris Bassett, and Bassett's over down here at 8,700. The two of them actually just went head to head in their last start. So, coming right back at it for the next start. Always an interesting spot to be in. Cole Reagans against Miami. That looks like a sweet spot. Garrett Crochet, unfortunately, draws the Dodgers. But listen, he's been pitching well above, I think, what everybody else was thinking about. And then Freddie Peralta, who finally turned it around in his last outing. Can he do it again? This is a tough lineup here against Texas. I don't know if I want to see it again first or if I'm going to have to invest now. James, who do you like top end pitching?
So it starts with Reagans for me at 10-1. I think this is your chalk spend up. I don't think it's going to be relatively close in terms of ownership, but he gets the Marlins. That means nothing if you played Sunday slate. Shout out Bryce Miller, really did us well. But we got to have a goldfish memory here, Howard. And Miami has been, the league's worst team when it comes to hitting left-handed pitching this year. Sub 600 team OPS. I mean, that is you're talking about numbers that you just don't see very often for a full team. And we're in the middle of June, almost 1,000 plate appearances, and Miami's sitting here at sub 600 OPS as a team. They don't strike out all too much, just 21% strikeout rate against Southpaws. But Reagans is a guy, 109 strikeouts in 92 innings, who doesn't care if you don't strike out a lot because he misses bats every which way, looking, swinging, doesn't matter. So I think Reagans for me, 10-1. Houck is fine. Toronto has been pesky, I'd say, especially when you look at how good Isaiah Kiner-Falefa and Spencer Horwitz have been, which I'm sure those are the two names you'd expect us to talk about when you're talking about the Blue Jays. But I think the top of that line has been a little pesky. I know Houck's been really, really good, but 10-5, you just mentioned this matchup just happened. And look, who knows what was going on in that? This is a new slate, but he didn't look great in that slate. He didn't look great against Philadelphia. And when you're paying 10-5, you need the 31-26 fantasy points that he had in the starts prior. You can't get 16 to 14 fantasy points, or you're in deep water. So I'm a little indifferent about Houck if you end up being there. Same thing goes for Crochet. He's obviously been elite in every facet, but you saw he ran up against a really good offense. 9 hits, 8 strikeouts were great. Doesn't have a lot of win equity, so when you get 10 base runners on against him, I mean, obviously it's hard to hit your ceiling. I'm okay with it. Dodgers obviously banged up with Muncy, Betts on the IL, and then Peralta, put it in a hat, flip a coin, do whatever to figure out what version you're going to get. I think it's Reagans for me with a bullet, and then The rest of the three guys are more of tournament plays for me.
Yeah, I'll go along with everything that you say there. Moving down next, I'm again not really that interested in Bassett. We know what lefty bats do to him. We know that he contained them. The last time I think he only gave up 2 earned runs in his start there. So he can be hit or miss as well. I actually pulled down to Waldron. Waldron's he's
Yeah.
been the guy, right? I
Yes.
mean, he's just been unbelievable. The strikeout rate has been fantastic. People are not hitting this knuckleball. Washington is not a hard hitting team. They're a young team as well. So how they're going to fare against the knuckleball is who knows. And then you know what? You got some win equity built in here going up against Patrick Corbin. So I feel like Waldron is probably like I'm going. Reagan's locking up at 10-1. Waldron, if I'm paying up for pitching, Waldron's my second starter there. If I'm paying down even further, well, we'll get to that. I don't know. Maybe you've got a mid-tier guy you like also.
Yeah, I mean, I love Waldron. I saw something today, Howard. You talk about win equity. Patrick Corbin. I was watching the Rockies Nationals broadcast. Yes, degenerate city to watch that game, but Patrick Corbin gets 2.5 runs per start. That's his run support. It's 1 run lower than every other pitcher in baseball. And his teammate is second, Jake Irvin. They were 1 and 2. So just goes to show you that Washington does not have a very potent offense. And also, I wonder what that offense thinks about when Patrick Corbin's starting every fifth day, right? Like it's like
Oh,
yeah,
they're like,
exactly.
oh, we're in the hole
Right,
immediately.
right. So, I mean, I don't know if that is you can even factor that into DFS, but on the win equity side, you definitely can if your pitcher's getting no run support. He has been great, and honestly, for as great as his knuckleball has been, he's the most pitch mix knuckleballer I've ever seen. Like when we talk about all the Dickies and the
Hmm.
Wakefields, and they were just 75% knuckleball. And Waldron's like fastball, knuckleball, changeup, knuckleball, slurve. Like it's been a very nice mix of pitches for Waldron. I really like 8,300 against a Washington offense that could score 2 runs in Coors on Sunday. I mean, I don't mind Justin Steele in the mid tier. That would be my at $8,500.
Hmm.
He's got off to a rocky start, and he is looking more and more like the guy that was potentially on his way to a Cy Young last year, or at least for 3/4 of the season, he was elite. He's been amazing, and I get it that we just saw this matchup. He looked great. Sometimes there's trepidation going from starting from in against that team and then right again, matching up against them. But like we have even a park upgrade here going from Chicago to San Francisco. That
Right.
first start was a win series. That whole series was played in the wind. 2 earned runs, no home runs, a bunch of strikeouts. I love Steele going into San Francisco with the park shift. So I'd be okay, honestly, just starting my build Steele Waldron if you can't find the money to go up to like a Cole Reagan's,
Okay.
or just Reagan's Steele, Reagan's Waldron. That would be where I'd live. Obviously, there's still a lot of value options, but I love Justin Steele 85.
There really aren't a lot of bargain options. I mean, I don't mind Schwellenbach for the Braves going up against St. Louis. I don't love their lineup. He did have that one, really bad start against, I think it was Boston, where he
Yep,
gave up like 6 earned runs. But his last two starts, I think one was against the Tigers, one I think was against the Orioles,
yep.
where I mean he looked good. He didn't look, it wasn't phenomenal, but for 7,400, if I'm going to pay down a little further, then that's where I'm going. I don't know if I can or want to go any further down. Does anybody else, like turn you on here? Rodri Munoz, maybe? Um, don't say
Eh,
Luis Medina. Don't say it.
No, 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 no,
Okay,
no,
okay, okay.
no, not even in a fire. I think that I'll say this and I'll duck. Because he's a gas canning. Um, but Griffin,
Oh,
but look,
against
look,
Oakland. Yeah, I
this
got you. I got you.
it's the matchup, right? It's not necessarily the pitcher, because the pitcher is not having a fun time. But you know, let's factor in last two matchups. Milwaukee, very good hitting team. Arizona
Mhm.
can be a very good hitting team. Was really good in the 2 starts prior, was fine against the Yankees, was fine against had a good stretch, right? And then had a tough couple starts against 2 good teams. Oakland in the month of June strikes out more than anybody against right-handed pitching. And that was predating Pablo Lopez striking out 14 batters on Saturday, right? That was a baked in stat from Saturday. So I'm excited to see the 28% strikeout rate come, Monday morning. But $6,100. There's obviously win equity. He right now is a small favorite, minus 122, in the only sports book I see right now. So like small favorite. I'm certain that might grow from opening line at 122 at home against a team striking out more than anyone in right hand pitching, and not only striking out, like bottom 5 in OPS, bottom 5 in WOBA, bottom 5 in WRC plus. So if you're
Actually,
looking,
you look at them over the past week. The Oakland Athletics at 336 WOBA with a 317 BABIP. They're putting the ball in play lately. Yeah, they're striking out 28.7% of the time, but they are putting bat to ball here. Not terrible. Listen, I understand the exact reasons to go to Canning here for sure. It's just, what, when I pay all the way down like that, I do kind of expect the gods to be like, no, sir. No, sir. I hope I'm wrong. But all right. So, all right. But I think we got where we're at with pitching. Let's kind of cruise through here and talk about going around the way. Let's start behind the plate. For me and John, we always end up like looking to see who's like the cheapest guy. I don't know what your approach to catcher is. I tend to not like to pay up at the position unless it's like Adley Rutschman in like a smash spot. So where do you where do you linger in the catcher world here?
I would say it's more matchup based. Like I would, depending on your opinion on William Contreras, Michael Lorenzen cannot get righties out,
Mhm.
and like we obviously know, like I know William Contreras has not had a good stretch recently, but everything that happens to Michael Lorenzen happens to righties. All the power, the ground ball rate goes out the window, and that's what he's best at, right? Inducing ground balls, and that just is gone when he's facing right-handed bats. So I would only probably spend up on Contreras. Like you could take a dart on Smith, 1100 OPS against left-handed pitching this year, but I largely agree. I've actually punted like 3 times in the last week. I punted a Ben Rortvert like 3-hit game. I punted a Marchand 4-hit game from Philly, 2200 to the 9 spot. Like it just depends on like your roster construction. It depends on the matchup.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, like as I go through it here and I scrolled through, the position, Logan O'Hoppe against Luis Medina, I think is a perfectly fine play to use. Believe it or not, how about this? How about Corey Lee
Yep.
for the White Sox going up against Paxton, who, I don't think any of us have any faith in James Paxton. I mean, the books finally caught up to his walks prop,
Yeah.
which has just been absolutely crazy there. So, I think that there are guys that you can, and like you said, depending on your build, depending on what you're looking for, Sean Murphy could be fine against Lance Lynn. I think that's a great price for what Sean Murphy has the upside of doing. I think that's a really nice spot to be. But yeah, I mean, again, if I'm looking like all the way down, we'll see what happens. Like, is Luke Maley going to be in the lineup against Bailey Falter? I really don't hate that much.
Nope.
So,
No.
yeah.
I would say the only other hat tip is to Freddie Furman, 3K. He double
Mhm.
donged the other day against a righty. He's been a very good hitter. They bat him like kind of right in the middle of that order, 6th, 7th, somewhere in that. So Furman. To your Corey Lee point too, Howard, just to drive that point home. White Sox in the month of June, 10th in isolated power, hitting for against left-handed pitching. A lot of power for the White Sox.
And they just got Eloy back too.
They just got Eloy, I think multi-hit game on Sunday too for
Yeah, and then he's experiencing some hamstring soreness right now. So fingers crossed. It's so bad.
I mean, he needs to pick a new sport at this, right? chess, like something not like where you just can't get injured, right? Like,
Oh my god. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like I saw that report, I was like, ugh. Like I was just sitting there doing all my like regular season waivers,
yep.
and I was like, oh, I'm getting Eloy back, take him off the IL, and I was soreness. Come
I just did that too without the realization that there's soreness. So thank you for
on.
that. Thank you.
All right, so we'll figure out catcher when we start
Yep.
doing our build. Let's go to the first base position here. Let's start at the top. Obviously, I mean you can talk lefty on lefty crime with Crochet, or you could look to Bellinger there. That's a tough spot. 5,900 for
What
Bellinger.
what are we missing here? That's just something we ignore and move on, right? There's
I
no
know. I
order.
think maybe they don't realize that. I think Spencer Howard's like more of like an opener these days, and maybe that's what they're thinking. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
There's just no way. There's
Bellinger at
yeah,
59 seems bizarre to me.
just ignore it. Let's just move on.
Watch his
There's just
ownership. His ownership's going to be through the roof. You watch. It's going to be something stupid and crazy. Anyway, Matty Olson, the lefty bat against Lance Lynn. I'm totally digging on that. Um, you know, I have no desire to use Luis Arise, even though it's against Patrick Corbin, because he doesn't hit for power.
no.
Right? Like I
No.
find it kind of interesting that he is as pricey as he is there. So, I think if I'm looking at this crew here, Olson's probably would be my top spend up at 5,000. And then I would kind of look towards, Spencer Steer maybe going up against Bailey Falter, get some of that that Great American Small Park share here with a lefty on the mound in Falter.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Reds are going to be really popular.
Yeah.
Great American Park against Bailey Falter. Steers solid. Heimer Candelario, though, Howard, has been a
Hmm.
man on a freaking mission of late. He has been amazing. And this is stretching most of June. I want to say the turnaround happened like during I think they went to Coors, and he just hasn't stopped hitting since then. So I think either of those guys would be honestly my first two shouts. I don't hate Goldschmidt, who's been good against righties. St. Louis actually sneaky top 10 team in OPS against right-handed pitching. So I know like Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado have been like legacy left-handed hitting batters. Not the case this year. They've both been better against righties. So I think Goldie's okay if you're stacking against Schwellenbach. And then the two Reds. And then I know Pasquantino has been pretty bad,
Oh,
but
dude.
yeah, it's been a very disappointing year for sure. And a lot of the metrics earlier in the year suggested that it was a lot of bad luck and that things were going to turn around. And it just sometimes that stuff, like it's just baseball, Susan. Like you're not like it just doesn't turn around. But Rodney Munoz has been a leaky faucet the whole year, except one start when everyone was on him against the Mets. And again, that's baseball, but he has been pretty bad. I'd be okay playing a Kansas City top of the lineup stack as long as he's in.
Okay. All right. I got you there. Listen, I'll see your Kansas City stack with building off of my Corey Lee call and saying, why not Andrew Vaughn going up against Paxton? I think that's a good spot for us.
Yep.
If you don't believe in Freddie Peralta, if you're thinking that, hey, maybe I want to fade him because he had such a great outing, maybe maybe everybody thinks that he's healed. I don't mind lefty Texas bats, and that's Nathaniel Lowe. I think that's a good spot. But then Nolan Shanwell, lefty bat, going to
Yep.
be up against Luis Medina. And I think, we've kind of, just kind of poked around with some of them, Ohapi, Shanwell. I think that's there are some places to spend down here at first base, I think.
Yeah, I think the two that you mentioned are spot on. Vaughn, he's hit lefties really well historically, and Shanwell's going to lead off 3,300. Can't really can't really beat that. And Shanwell's been hit over 300 his last 10 games. So I got nothing else. Those are the two options. I guess hat tip to Rowdy, and hat tip to actually Soderstrom if you want to play a lefty bat against Griffin Canning. He's hitting for some power of late.
Yeah.
$2,300 doesn't the price doesn't really get better than
That's great. I wish they still had catcher eligibility
I
for him.
know. I know. I
Oh,
agree. Easy plug.
going to second base here. Top of the heap, you got Ozzy Albies going up against Lance Lynn. I know, Ozzy Albies is a lock when he's facing a lefty, but
Yep.
I can't hate on this. Marcus Semion's got Freddie Peralta, Bryce Terang going up against Lorenzen. But as you mentioned before, Lorenzen had has those oppo splits, the
Yep.
reverse splits with struggling against right-handed bats. Cronenworth, I said it before that I was gonna, look at Padres against Patrick Corbin. I don't see a world where I don't need a little Cronenworth in my life.
I mean, Patrick Corbin, he supports right-handed bats and left-handed bats equally. Patrick Corbin does not discriminate who he
No,
stinks against. 306 average against righties, 309 against lefties, 900 OPS against righties, 840 OPS against lefties.
what a champ, right? What a champ.
He really loves us fantasy players. So, I think no reason to really spend up unless you're playing Cronenworth here.
All right. Looking further down the list, I won't touch Nico Horner until he gets out of this. He's been just absolutely atrocious lately.
Horrible.
Just ugh. You go Nolan Gorman against Schwellenbach if you wanted to. If you're not thinking that Schwellenbach is the guy and you want to go really, off to the side and try some St. Louis, I think that's a good spot to be in. I don't know what to expect at Aspires, so I might not really be into Nicky Gonzalez over here. Yeah, further down here, did you say Horowitz when we were talking first base?
No, I like the eligibility. I was just gonna save it for second because I knew second was a bad position. This
Yeah.
kid is a very good hitter. A very good
Mm-hmm.
hitter. And like that was the pedigree. So the double dong is like that's an anomaly. I think he had 3 home runs at AAA last year, or before his call up. I don't think the power is gonna stick, but he has been very good and he's been very cheap since being called up. And I think it definitely makes it more appealing that he's multi-position eligible.
Yeah,
Gives
absolutely.
checks a
Pay
lot
it
of
down.
boxes.
Yeah, pay it down at second base. I definitely don't mind that for 36. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to have the expectations of power, but he's just been productive, right? He's
Yes.
been like a
Yes.
nice on base machine, and he's been, hitting the stats. So I'm totally into that. You could go Jonathan India if you're stacking some Reds against Bailey Falter. You mentioned IKF earlier here. How's that for your little Toronto mini stack? You go a little Horowitz IKF, save yourself a couple of shekels here and there, huh?
Well, so I saw Bichette is expected to return Tuesday. So the last couple days, IKF Horwitz has been the top of the Blue Jays lineup. So if that's going to be the top of the lineup again, like obviously Tanner Houck is really good this year, and I'm not
Mm-hmm.
denying that he's been really good. But also, when you get a when you get a 1-2 stack for 36 and 33 respectively, and you can play them at 3 separate positions, so it's a pretty good advantage to have. Now, I think second is actually incredibly. There's a lot of value, like Horwitz
Mm-hmm.
and IKF. I like Emmanuel Valdez, who's been really good, and we know Chris Bassett struggles against lefties, and also I don't know, Howard, Zach Geloff, signs of life. And if you're not playing Griffin Canning, you mentioned we're out of Oakland, right? Better
Yeah.
ballpark in Los Angeles. Geloff had, I know again, 3 straight days with no hits, but 3 straight days prior to that with home runs. And if you remember last year and into this year, all the damage has been basically against right-handed pitching. Griffin Canning this year has obviously struggled more with the lefties, so this is not like the best split, but Geloff has 6 of his 8 home runs already hit this year against righties. So I think this is a pretty good position to spend down on, especially when you and I were talking. Like there was nothing appealing about the top tier.
Yeah. All right. Man, I mean, we were talking about paying down for Soderstrom. I mean, geez, do we have
Yeah.
to go Geloff also? But all right, listen, I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Oh, listen, I'll tell you what I'm gonna look into now because I wish I had the stats offhand right now, knowing it. But I want to see how both Horwitz and Kiner Falefa, do against breaking pitches. Because, I mean, there's some guys that might just be good, fastball changeup guys, but guys who
Sure.
can hit good, breaking stuff, because that's what's coming. Like, that's what all the Red Sox pitchers are doing. They're just throwing as much, all of their breaking stuff until their elbow falls off. That's really been, their whole plan. It's what Greg Breslau wants them to do. So if IKF and Horwitz definitely they do that, if they hit the breaking stuff well, I'm going to lock that down, especially if it's going to be 1-2 in a lineup.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah. The hot corner here, third base. Devers against Bassett, who struggles against lefties, is going to be a popular spot, I am sure.
Yep.
I have not looked recently. When was the last time Chris Morel hit a home run?
2 days ago? Yesterday? Today? 2 days ago?
If he did it today, which is when we're recording this on Sunday, which I'll go check.
Saturday. I think the Mets are getting.
Saturday. What did he do today? Oh, Cubs are going on right now.
Yeah, I think they're getting shut out. Or at least I was looking. Yeah, 4-0 Mets currently. So he has not hit one. He has not hit one yet.
All right. Well, all right. I'll tell you what then. So here we go. If Chris Morel hits a home run tonight, all right, we're going to lock him into our lineup no matter what.
Because this is what he does, right? It's the streak.
This is what he does. He goes on this 3-4 home runs in a row binge. So you gotta jump on it. That's what Johnny and I have been doing the entire time. We're like, did Morel hit a home run? Yeah. All right, we'll get him into the lineup again immediately.
Okay, so we have one Saturday. He is currently 0 for 2. He will be batting in the bottom of the 7th inning. So we will maybe live after this. Francisco Alvarez will predate. Going to call this home run after he grand slams. We'll see. If Morel homers, but that would be 2 days in a row if he does.
All right. In the meantime,
another Cub, by the way, 5,100 for Cubs. I'm a little confused as to what's happening with the Cubs pricing, but I digress.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I understand that concern. It does seem a little pricey for them. So where are you looking? I mean, Devers, you like Austin Riley against Lance Lynn. How do you not love Manny Machado against Corbin?
Yeah, it's Machado.
It's Machado.
It's Machado. Nothing else really needs to be said.
Okay.
Also, I'm gonna have a hard time if I'm playing like Spencer Steer or spending down at first. I'm gonna just have a hard time not getting to Candelario at third. So those are my top 2 options above 4K, and because Candelario has the multi-position eligibility, it makes it easier. Well, I can play Steer, who's gonna hit in the middle of the order, and then I can play Candelario as a 2-man stack, and then move on from there. So
yeah, that's what I would look at. I would look at Candelario and Steer at first and third. If you don't use, I wouldn't use Steer and Machado because it's a little too pricey there. But you go Candelario and Machado,
yep.
I think is a good spot for you to do.
Agreed.
All right. Further down there, I mean, we do seem kind of set on where we are for this. Is Josh Young going to be activated? I don't think it matters even at 3,600, but I don't really see, a whole lot that really turns me on at the hot corner here.
I mean, Josh Smith has been pretty amazing, and I'm a Freddie Peralta respecter, and I respect Freddie Peralta, but Josh Smith has been pretty damn good. Third base, shortstop eligibility, a lot of power of late, and that's not something we've ever seen from him at the major league level. 3 home runs in his last 5 games, a bunch of hits over that span, 1,300 OPS in his last 10 games. So that would be probably. I don't understand why his price is going down, but that's not for us to decide. That's for us to take advantage of. So I would say Josh Smith 37 would be the other guy that stands out.
All right, beautiful. I think that's a good segue over to shortstop because you could use him there at short. We could get our Candelario Machado or Candelario and Steer kind of thing going with little Josh Smith. Splash in some of those Texas lefty bats. I love that. Oh, you're already highlighting Ellie De La Cruz. You're already there.
Well, so I want to talk to you about Ellie because he doesn't hit lefties. He has not hit lefties, but like Morel, De La Cruz goes on these stretches and we've seen it now a year and a half. He just goes on very hot spells where and everything's in bunches. Like when Ellie De La Cruz does something, it's not just like 1 for 4. It's 3 for 4 with a triple, 2 stolen bases, 3 runs scored, and a 200-mile-an-hour fastball from short. Like there's but I just don't like this split for him. He's hitting 223. He has 3 of his 13 home runs against lefties, but he's in one of those stretches right now where he has 1,000 OPS in his last 10 games, and he has a bunch of extra base hits and runs scored and all the double-edged sword here.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I totally get that dilemma. It's tough to do. I think if you're, he's tough as a one-off.
Yes.
Because of his numbers against lefties. If you're stacking some Reds in some way or another, I think it definitely makes sense. That's the problem is that, with what the numbers are against Southpaws, even if he is like just starting up this hot streak again right now, it's 6,300. I mean, it really puts you behind for that. I mean, you're looking at like Griffin Canning's one of your starting pitchers, dude.
Correct. Well, I mean, I didn't hate Griffin Canning. I just also
that's what I'm saying though. But you're looking at like Steele Canning or Waldron Canning as your pitching tandem. If you're gonna squeeze Ellie in there.
Agreed. Which I think, given like Soderstrom first base, there's like second base is a spend down. Like I think there are ways to do it, but I on the larger picture, I definitely agree, because you can also save $1,100 and get to Seager if you wanted to do like a 2-man with him and Josh Smith hitting third or second and third, or Adames.
I was gonna say at home against a righty who sucks against righties.
Yeah, this is actually. I mean, I don't know if the home run odds are live on DK Sport. I don't know if we have like some sportsbook odds on a Willy Adames home run. But if I see anything below like plus 300, I'm betting the house on a Willy Adames home run.
I'm going to look up the odds right now. You riff off about a little bit of shortstop action that you like, and I'm looking for the Willy Adames home run button here.
Okay, I definitely have some interest in O'Neal Cruz, 4,800, righty on the mound. Spires was not great against Pittsburgh in his debut. Cruz does hit righties well. Ha-Seong Kim hasn't been as good against left-handed pitching this year. Hasn't been as good in general, but there is still the power speed combination. He's still showing that 10 home runs, 15 steals this year. So Ha-Seong Kim for sure interesting at 44 against Corbin. If David Hamilton's hitting second, that's for sure appealing. The guy has speed for days, 21 stolen bases already this year. I like that. Mason Wynn leading off for St. Louis in St. Louis stacks. He's been arguably their best hitter, ? This year. So I like that. I like that. And
question mark.
I like that. I like that 4K tier for shortstop quite a bit. Do they have the Adames? Do we have a home run?
No, I don't. I'm because I have to open up like a different browser because I'm already on DK for DFS. Then I got to switch over. They don't have it posted on BetMGM, and all of a sudden my computer just started going.
Oh no! Oh no!
So I'm a little nervous about what might happen here.
Close all your tabs and go and start miming the rest of the show. Just start like.
Oh no! What's happening here? All right, well, it's just something. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll look at it afterwards, and I'll tweet it and tag you once I see those odds there. But yeah, for the time being, right now, stop. My computer. Can you hear the computer fan going?
Let's see. Nope. You're good.
It's like mid wheeze right now.
What is that? A Paul DeJong home run. I do hear a Paul DeJong home run coming.
Paul DeJong home run?
No, he only hits righties. I would love to use guys against James Paxton and those horrible peripheral numbers, but he only hits righties. Can't use them. I don't think there's any value. Shortstops. I think this is a spend up position personally.
All right. Well, then let's hit the outfield then, and take a look at what we got. I'm sure that there's plenty of stuff that we can do. It's not even like I don't even want to go in price order. All I want to do is see how much they're charging for Jackson Merrill these days.
The answer is too cheap. Whatever the price is, $3,900.
$3,900. Oh, it's lefty on lefty crime.
Yeah, but it's Patrick
I
Corbin.
don't love that. I know. But I do love. I don't think anybody's really noticed this that much. Jackson Merrill in the month of June has like tripled his home run count. Like all of a sudden, this kid went from like getting the job out of spring training to hitting like 275 for the first month with like good numbers, like a home run and a couple of stolen bases. Then he does the same thing in May, and now all of a sudden in June, all of a sudden he starts hitting for power. And I think he's got like, I don't know, 6 home runs here in the month, 6 home runs here in the month of June already. And he's not doing it at the expense of his batting average, though. Like that's the thing. What you usually see with like young players who start to power up, the strikeout rate goes up, and the batting average starts to dip, and that's not happening with Merrill. He's maintaining the plate discipline numbers while hitting for power. So like whatever, man. Like I don't necessarily want to. I'm not going to use it lefty on lefty right now because Patrick Corbin will just find a way to screw me over on that. But just that's a name to just sit and watch. And if he's under 4K, the way he's playing right now, man, I hope he goes 0 for 4 tomorrow on Monday, just so that I can go back to him on Tuesday at like 36.
So he has. Here's his June splits against lefties. Ready? He's hitting 171, Howard.
Yeah.
You want to guess what his ISO is against lefties though?
Probably like 0.23.
371. He has 4 home runs this month against left-handed pitchers.
Off of lefties? Get the hell out of here.
4
Really?
home runs in June.
Come on.
Against lefties, but he's hitting 171. He has a 171 average, a 543 slug, a 371 ISO.
All right, for 39, I'll do it. For
it's 39,
I'll do it.
It's a home run or nothing right now for him.
Yeah. GPP tournament lineup. It's all or nothing there for Jackson Merrill. It is Patrick Corbin. So yeah, I mean, if you just want to throw that dart, I tell you. All right, top of the mountain.
He's going to move up too, for the record, with Tatis with this injury. He didn't play Sunday. I'm wondering if he doesn't play Monday either. So
see, look at that. And you pair him up with Cronenworth, baby. All right, top of the mountain here at in the outfield. Ohtani, yeah, obviously, even against the lefty. Ozuna, yeah, obviously, against Lance Lynn, who's terrible. We've already said we're scared of why Bellinger's so expensive. How about Yelich? We looked at Adames here, but Yelich priced up at 58. I think he's still in a fantastic spot as well. But I think we got to look at some of these Dodger bats that do hit lefties well, and that's Teoscar.
Teoscar has been one of their 300 plus ISO guys against left-handed pitching. Him, Will Smith, Andy Pages, those three like stand out the most against lefties. So I do love the 5,500 for Teoscar. Might strike out 3 times, might go 1 for 4 with a 3-run blast, right? It's so and you take that all day. So I do like Teoscar. I like Jarren Duran at 5,400. There are probably a few players in the game just playing better than Jarren Duran. He has this. It's kind of insane. He has 10 triples on the year already. Like, I know he's fast. That's not me like, wow, just discovering how fast he is. But like 10 triples in June is a lot of triples. That is someone who's playing really hard, right? Because you don't see people trying that much, I feel like, to get triples.
Just to warn you, the last time it was the Red Sox against Bassett, I locked in Devers, I locked in Jarren Duran. I think I threw in a third lefty in there, but not 100%. Either way, it just didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to.
Look, Howard, all I'm saying is you have to be Royce Lewis. And What did Royce Lewis say? He doesn't
Oh,
believe in slumps,
he's
right?
so good, right?
He
Oh,
is.
I love
Yep.
that.
Said he doesn't believe in slumps, and yesterday was yesterday, and today's today, right? I think there's a lot of variables going into day to day. Since that game, Jaren Duran has 4 straight multi-hit games, has
Mm.
stolen 3 bases, has scored a run in 4 straight games, and at the end of the day, yes, Chris Bassett was solid. 2 runs, got 6 innings. Still against lefties on the year, 290 average allowed, 366 WOBA. 6 of the 7 home runs he's allowed have come against left-handed
Yeah.
bats. So I still think like large scale, more often than not, the lefties have been giving him problems. And if Duran gets on, it's a single, it's a stolen base, and then it's we have a lot of run producing bats behind him. So I'm willing to test the waters again with Jaren Duran.
You do that goldfish thing real well there, kid.
I do. I mean, you got it's working on it. Working on it.
All right, let's move further down here. Again, Seiya Suzuki, yet another Cub priced in the over 5K range. I don't even know if I can do it with this. You've got Tyler O'Neill, Lewis Robert against Paxton at 5K. If you're gonna dive into those White Sox, like
Yeah.
obviously Lewis Robert is the guy that you want. He is 5K. And you could add, another White Sox as like a spend down there to just kind of get like an extra piece of it. We kind of been talking about that. So I don't mind Lewis Robert. Heliot Ramos, I love what he's been doing, but I do love Justin Steele that much more. However, Jorge Soler against the lefty. What are the home run odds on that one?
Yeah. He's coming around too. He's been much better of late. It's just like the ballpark is just I'm just so confused at the pricing. They're priced as if their series is still in Chicago with the wind. Both teams, like Heliot Ramos being 49 and Soler being 47. I'm just a little turned off by the pricing. Like I would rather play who was I just looking at? Tommy Pham, who's been really good against left-handed pitching for ever, included this year as well. If you want to play more White Sox, Tommy Pham this year already has 2 bombs against lefties. He's been fine. He's going to lead off for them as well. Weiler Abreu, I think he provides a lot of depth for that Red Sox lineup. When you want to talk about a lefty that wasn't there against Bassett the other day,
True.
he's another lefty bat that you can throw into the mix at 4,300. So I'd rather just play those guys than like a bad ballpark good pitcher in like against the Giants. But I understand what you're saying. Again, the pricing in this game is just bizarre to me.
Does seem a little weird. Looking further down the list here, some names in the 4K range. I gotta keep going to Jerks and Profar.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean what he's done so far this year has been absolutely spectacular. That like him, and then you've got Andy Pajes, who's like sitting right there, right next to him, both at 4K. We know that if we are going to look for some Dodgers, Pajes is the guy who definitely hits lefties well. So Profar and Pajes for me at 4K, both solid additions here.
Yeah, salute to the 2009 #1 prospect in baseball, Jerkson Profar, for finally, coming to life.
Finally putting it together.
He has been amazing, hitting in the middle of that lineup, and Pajes has been great against lefties. I lean Profar, obviously, for the matchup. I think that goes without saying. But if you see ownership and there's a vast discrepancy, I would say Pajes is your alternate play there.
Yeah. All right. Further down, Taylor Ward has not been good lately, but it is up against Luis Medina, so I don't mind that move there at all. Not going to use Winker against Waldron. Fraley's a lefty bat. Don't want that. I do like Sal Frelick. I kind of like him, here against Lorenzen. I don't love it, but I'm not out on that completely. Further down the list, do you see anybody there that really stands out? I mean, I guess Jared Kelenic going up against Lance Lynn all the way down at 3,400. If they keep leading him off, I don't see why you don't try and bargain shop there.
Yeah, I think Kelenic is an excellent play at 3,400, like you said. I mean, he has 10-game hitting streak now after leading off that game with a home run on Sunday. So I think Kelnick is a rock solid play. I would give a slight hat tip to the Cardinals, a little more expensive. Burleson 39, Donovan 37. Both guys have been pretty good and over 300. I think both guys have a double dong this week as well. Both of them. If you want to play lefty against Griffin Canning, JJ Bleday has been really good of late. And Canning has allowed a 900 OPS to left-handed bats this year. So get your Bleday Soderstrom stacks. That was a tongue twister there, Howard. Sorry.
You did great work with that one there.
That was a tough. Thank you. Wyatt Langford continues his assault on baseballs on Sunday. RBI double, runs scored. He has been awesome at 3,200. I hit him 5th as well on Sunday, so he's matriculating his way up that lineup.
Yeah, it's you gotta jump on him now while he's
Agreed.
cheap down here at 3,200 because he was such a big prospect. The moment he really starts to turn it up and he goes on even more of a home run binge, can you imagine that? I mean, Langford going up against Freddie Peralta and he double dongs on him there, it'd be ridiculous. All of a sudden he's a $4,600 player. So.
This is what John and I last year were saying about Corbin Carroll. For the first 3 months of the year, Corbin Carroll was under 4K, and we're like, well, who cares what the matchup is? Just play him. Just we're getting a best elite fantasy asset for too cheap. So I agree. I was looking for Jackson Chourio as well. You want to talk about another rookie? Right-handers against Lorenzen, and Chorio's been coming around as well. I mean, over 300 average over his last 10, and we get the split advantage here despite righty, but that's where we live when we face Michael Lorenzen.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't necessarily know if I see anything much further down here. So why don't we let's build a lineup here for the kids at home, and we'll kind of cruise through.
So do you want to spend up to Reagan's? If we were going to, I feel like Reagan's was our guy, and then we'd be split on Steele Waldron, or we can just steal Waldron and just move on and pay up for bats.
Let's do it. Why not? Steele Waldron. I like it.
Because we'll have a lot more salary, I think, especially when we get to the outfield or wherever we really want to allocate.
Well, I think the real question. All right, so where are we spending up? What do we want to do?
Shortstop was definitely appealing. Spend up for me. I think Adames was probably our guy.
Oh, yeah.
We 51.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. I think we were both pretty confident in that one. I just want to kind of place, some of these guys, who are, who we know we're going to have to build around.
We liked Machado was another one. If we wanted to play Machado at 5K.
Okay. Perfect.
And then I would like to get to Candelario at first if we could, but that obviously, because we have second base that we have value at, and we have catcher that will obviously have some pretty good value at.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, let's do it. Let's start spending down a little bit here. I guess, catcher is the easiest spot to spend down, I think.
Agreed.
So the question is how far down the catcher, way do we want to go?
Probably the guy on the screen right now, this big cheesy smile.
Is Luke Maile going to be in that lineup? It's a
lefty. It's a lefty on the mound, right? He plays against lefties. I'm trying to look at what we got for Luke Maile splits against lefties this year, because I think the last I looked, he's hitting 250. Both of his home runs have come against lefties this year.
Okay.
Let's see what we got more in depth than me just saying he's hitting 250. How encouraging of a play that is.
You know what, dude? The league batting average, the average is 240.
Well, here,
that's league average right now.
Let me bolster the case. 808 OPS, 214 ISO, 355 WOBA against Southpaws.
Dude, plug him in there. Look at that. We got a couple of reds right there. And that's a nice little spend down there as well. I do want to pair up Machado with Profar.
Love it. Love
I
it.
do want to do
also,
that. And he's only 4K. So that we stay in our budget here. So I think second base is where we were really looking as a nice little spend down spot. Oh, we were talking about like Horowitz, Kiner Falefa, Valdez. We could go all the way down to
India. Like this is a great tier of that's going to provide us some salary in the outfield too.
Yeah.
Who is your preferred? Because I know you wanted to look into the off speed stuff on the Toronto side. We know the Valdez splits are obviously apparent against Bassett. We know India, if you're into a 3-man Cincy play in Cincinnati, is obviously appealing too. What's your lean here, Howard?
It's kind of funny. I don't have like a particular lean here because I don't know the numbers on Horowitz and IKF for how they are against breaking. I'd rather go with either the 3-man stack or to your point before, if you wanted to be able to get Jarren Duran in there, you could probably get Emmanuel Valdez here and get yourself a couple of lefty bats from Boston, and right, you can afford Duran.
Yeah, and then 3,400. I think. You know what? This is
Does that get you Kelnick?
It does. Boom. Love it when a plan comes together. You love it when a plan comes together.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy, baby.
That's what they say, right?
That is exactly what they say. All right, so there you go, folks. We talked about Reagans. We like using him as well. But Steele Waldron, this seems to be a nice little pairing for us. Luke Maile will probably be in the lineup, as either a DH or behind the plate. So we'll kind of check that out. But, I mean, we're not giving ourselves a lot of wiggle room. But, I mean, you could go to, like, Pedro Pajes, who's, like, 2,400. And that dude's hit, like, he's got, like, 4 hits in his last 3 games. So you could end up, like, just one-offing it on that. But Candelario, Emmanuel Valdez, Manny Machado, Willy Adames, Jurickson Profar, Jarren Duran, Jared Kelnick. I like that. And that's a lot of J initials in our lineup.
I was just going to say, I was literally thinking the same thing. I saw all the J's in the outfield. That's what caught my eye. The triple J outfield was really, and then I looked up like Candelario, Justin Steele. Wow, we're doing this. We have 4 or 6 lefty or 6 J's here, Howard.
6 J's, baby.
Including
Smoke them if you got them. So there you have it, folks. Listen, a little bit longer of a show. James and I just kind of, we're easy like Sunday morning. So this is the full laid out that you've got right here for the show. James will be back with John and Pemba at 5 p.m. Eastern for the live show. We'll get some more updates to the lineups and everything like that. Obviously, check out all the work that we've got over at fantasyalarm.com. If you don't subscribe, do yourself a favor. Let's get that QR code here just so that everybody can see it right now. Fantasyalarm.com /win, promo code Let's Go. Get you 50% off your first month. That includes our fantasy football draft guide, which drops this coming Friday. And then everything, all sports, season long, DFS, betting, everything across the way that you could possibly want. So we appreciate everybody tuning in here. Again, James and John will be back at 5 p.m. All questions answered in the chat. James, I hope you have a great night. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. This has been Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS show, and we'll catch you next time.